let's talk about the Mandela effect. Slowly as time goes on, we're being revealed more and more of these. But today we're going to talk about the most common Mandela effect, one that is so common, I bet that it has affected you in at least one form or another. If it hasn't, well it has, so I don't really care. That Mandela effect is what we'll refer to as dynamic brand names. So what I'm going to do now is show you a few brand names and logos as well. This Mandela effect also applies to logos, but I don't think they honestly have the same root cause, so I might look at them separately in another video. But in any case, firstly, here is the logo for everybody's favorite crunchy chocolate wafer brand. Look as carefully as you can. So do you see anything wrong? So do yourself a favor and grab a piece of paper and write down how you remember KitKat being spelled with all and any punctuation and everything. Just write it down. Let's move on for now. So same thing as here, just write down the brand name with all the punctuation and everything, how you remember it. I should now probably go on to tell you that these two logos I just showed you are fake. I got them off of the internet and they're doctored versions of that image from fellow Mandela effect followers, and they're meant to show how people remembered the old brand logos looking, but here are the real ones along with the doctored ones, side by side so you can see. Now, let's look at some peanut butter. There is this incredibly famous peanut butter brand, and its name starts with a J. I'll ask you to write its name down if you remember it so you can refer back. I'm not trying to make this like a chore or make you remember it or anything like that. It's just that hearing me say the real one might taint your memory and might make you forget how you originally remembered it to be. My guess, if you went ahead and wrote down the name of the peanut butter brand, if you didn't go ahead and write it down, it's a peanut butter brand starting with a J, is that you wrote Jiffy. And that is incorrect because the actual peanut butter brand name is Jif. Weird, right? So I'm gonna go and try and justify these two ones by using other ideas before we move on. As for the first one, hyphens aren't really that big of a deal. Those things are mainly semi-words, so it's just natural that our brain would by default choose to go ahead and add a hyphen between the two words in the case that they didn't look correct by themselves. In actuality though, Coca-Cola in reality does have a hyphen and KitKat doesn't. Now the second example is a bit more erroneous because there isn't that much of a logical explanation at all for why people would remember something so obviously called Jif as being called Jiffy. I'm going to try some different possible explanations for it. So remember, I don't necessarily believe in there being any parallel dimension shifts with this Mandela effect, but I'm not just going to blindly attribute everything just off the bat to do with memory. There might have been actual changes. The first explanation is that there actually was a brand called Jiffy, but this has disappeared for some reason and there's no record of it that can be found online. I think that this is, to be fair, quite a spooky example if this is the actual case. Because I think that the best Mandela effects are not when something is slightly changed, but when it's just completely disappeared or when something's appeared and there's no previous records of it. So for example, like the Henry VIII painting, when hundreds of people remember this and we can't find it anymore because it really helps show us the mortality of time. So let me go on. So this one Redditor over here that goes by the name of Nathan E. Smith KS says that he told his parents about the Mandela effect, and his dad says that Jiffy was an actual real brand, and it was an East Coast ripoff brand. So if this is true, and there's not really a way to tell if it is possible that people remember this as being the true Mandela effect. But what I think would be the case was that there's a brand called Skippy, which is another brand of peanut butter, and that's been confused with Jif, and that's created this third awkward brand, imaginary brand, called Jiffy Peanut Butter. Now that's one possible explanation, but honestly, I personally doubt that that is the definitive one. I think, we're about halfway into the video, so I'm gonna just read a few, extremely nice comments that I got on my previous video. Who the F are you? Did you take high school biology? Everything in this image is wrong. You need to pay more attention in school versus racing home to watch movies. Okay, thanks, Mom. We do not have huge cavities on the slide of our skull. Oh, no, I did say side, my bad there. The ribcage is absolutely alien and all the organs are either too small or large. Do me another favor, explain why the skull you find now when you Google beside the obvious craters in the temple area, why there are additional plates creating 5 suture. I don't actually know. Is that suture? I don't know what that word means. I'm sorry. Versus 3. The blindness or dense fog I have experienced in people makes me question what reality the are actually from. I keep expecting to wake up from this bizarre dream, but as a Christian, I expected something like this. And know that there will be a great deception upon the earth, and God will intentionally blind those that have not been lovers of his truth. Think I know which camp you're in. My what? My in? Sorry to say it, but they are not my rules. But there might still be time to repent and get right with God. I highly suggest giving that a shot. Good luck, Julie. That's nice. I actually don't know who you are. This is one of the worst things I've ever been told. If you're gonna preach to me, then honestly, I will never go and try and convert someone. Like, this is just... like, please stop. Please don't try and... like, honestly, who do you think you are to try and proselytize me? Like, you say these aren't my rules, but you're the one telling me whatever. You're insane. So that's nice. Thank you, Julie Holcomb. You have the best last name in existence. And then here's another 2 comments. The first one, would like to tell you all, this video is not the way it was for me either. And now I have ribs in my back that connect to my spine. I have found anatomy videos on SpaceTube that prove this. I won't post them here for fear of deletion. With a little searching you should find. I don't actually know what this adds to the discussion or what it even means. But here is the best comment I have received. Stop trying not to be weird. Funny. Thank you. Get your mind right. So back on topic. Now we will talk about a few more examples. The first is of a famous chicken restaurant. I will show the name on screen. Tell me if you notice anything wrong. Okay, that's right. The actual name is ChickfilA with a K after the C, but for some reason lots of people miss out the K. I'm not sure why that's done. My guess, right, is that because you miss out one of the L's in ChickfilA, lots of people think for the same reason you do the same thing with the K. I'm not sure why. Now let's show some logos. So here's a Coca-Cola logo. Lots of people don't remember the capital C in Coca being so long and sort of like underlining the first part of this word, but that's how I remember it. And the other C that sort of like overlines the second word has a little loop-de-loop in it, which is quite interesting because I personally do not actually remember that one. Now we have the Volkswagen logo. So previously people remember this as being completely solid. The V and the W were fused into one, but now if you look, there's a gap between the V and the W. So that's pretty weird. So, you know, whilst we're on the topic of cars, I'm going to finish this video off with the Ford logo. So lots of people remember the tiny loop on the F in Ford not existing. Now that makes sense because the logos always stood out to me as being quite logical and not this loopy and curly. Always a very formal logo, but this little loop at the end of the F is quite, you know, disconcerting. So that should just about sum up this video. So there's going to be a second part to this soon, but not before another Mandela effect video likely. So thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, favorite, share, and subscribe. I'm doing a playthrough of Dark Souls, so make sure to check that out. And see you guys next time. Peace out.